Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 25 of Distress Deals Decoded, where real estate problems meet real solutions, brought to you by your friends at Asset Resolution Advisors. So, today we're going to be diving into another issue that we've been seeing quite a bit of, and I think that it's going to be a good one this week, a good chat. What we're going to talk about are the emerging opportunities for real estate investors and real estate agents. And what we're calling this is the investor data gold mine nobody is talking about.
Ooh.
So here's the interesting part here. Most investors already possess all of this valuable distressed real estate data. The problem isn't that they don't have the leads. The problem is that they're only monetizing off a very narrow part of the data that they already have. And the investors who are scaling the fastest are the ones who understand how to extract multiple opportunities from the exact same marketing data, marketing dollars, marketing, whatever you want to call it, right? Right now, the biggest waste for real estate investors today, it isn't about bad marketing, it's the underutilization of their data. So today, what we're going to talk about, or what we're going to ask is, what happens if your current deal lead flow could generate significantly more revenue without spending another dollar on marketing? Is that something that interests you all? So here we go. We're going to talk about these real problems and real solutions. So today I've got my buddies here. Juan Nicazio, say hi.
So, guys,
And I got Patrick Butler. Say hi, Patrick.
Hey, hey everybody. Good to be here.
All
Looking forward
right.
to this segment too.
Yeah, so we're going to get this kicked off. So what we're talking about when we see this every week, we talk to investors, and what we're talking about here is a big paradigm shift. And the reason it's a big paradigm shift is for investors, they get this data, they go through the data, they figure what their avatar is, and then they go down to try to get the wholesale. We're not talking about changing that. What we're talking about is how to take this data, how to understand that after you extract out what you've already extracted out, is to now find the additional data, the additional information that you can now generate other revenue that you haven't before. So, for investors, so right now investors are buying probate data, bankruptcy data, NOD, notice of sale, notice of default data, pre-foreclosure, short sales, but they're just taking one type of exit. And what we're going to really dig into right now is how to get more out of what you have. And so what we're going to do is, and we think it's a massive opportunity that most real estate investors haven't, or agents haven't even started looking into or digging into. So we're going to dig into it. We're going to get after it here. All right, Patrick. So what should investors be? Why are they looking at stuff so narrow or narrowly? And more importantly, what should they be looking for here?
Okay, so great question. And I think we need to frame this conversation. Now, there are many different kinds of investors out there, not only in terms of what their wheelhouse is, whether you're a fix and flipper, whether you're a wholesaler, whether you're a person that just focuses on novations, or whatever your case may be, but also focus on just one particular type of an outcome as well, right? So there may be wholesalers that are just focusing on high equity deals or folks that are just looking for messy probate deals. Well, I'm going to take you back in time to about 1965, I think. I was probably 4 years old. And my mom always told a story. It was Christmas morning, and all of the beautiful presents were out there. And one of the presents that they had gotten for me was a tricycle, this big, amazing tricycle with camouflage, which may explain part of the story, and an army helmet and all this other stuff. And as I came running into the room, my eyeballs focused on the stocking hanging on the little mantle. And sticking out of the stocking was a package of juicy fruit chewing gum. Now, my eyeballs saw nothing but juicy fruit chewing gum. And I ran as quickly as my 4 year old legs could take me and literally tripped over the tricycle to get to the juicy fruit chewing gum. And I think that's a great analogy for what we see with investors. So not only do investors have different wheelhouses, but there's also many different classifications of investors. There are super savvy well-oiled machines, high-level operators that do way more business than any of us could ever imagine. And that's one group. They can benefit from this topic as well. Then there's the ones that are kind of building their business. They're looking for ways to scale, looking for ways to increase their revenue and reduce expenses. That's another group. And then we could take it all the way down to the end of the spectrum, which is people that are, they call themselves investors. They're buying leads, buying data, but maybe they haven't really figured out the score, how they can monetize on this stuff. This is a great concept and a great topic for these folks as well, because whether you're looking for wholesale spreads or the fast flip, or if you want steep discounts so that you can rent the properties out, the data is the data is the data. And one thing that we've learned here at Asset Resolution Advisors over the decades that we've been doing what we do is that sometimes when you're looking for one thing, aka the juicy fruit chewing gum, you might just trip over an army camouflage tricycle. Now, the moral to that story, I think because the tricycle is camouflage, I just didn't see it. So that's my defense on that. Does that make sense, Juan?
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
So let's talk about, some of this data, there can be layers too, right? We hear all the time, oh
Sure.
man, I found this great opportunity in my data. Turns out there was a bankruptcy filed out the window.
Right.
Oh man, I had this opportunity. In fact, we were just looking at one, close one, 6 heirs on the property. Oh, I can't do
Yep.
anything with that. Nobody knows where they are. Well, four of them were locatable. Well, anyway, we continue to go on. HOA foreclosure. So during this process of sifting through your data, do you really want to spend all the time in the world going through all of the potential underwriting analyses to figure out on your own whether or not there's opportunities here, or should you stick within your lane and your wheelhouse? Because there's a lot to be said about that, folks. What we're not suggesting that anybody do here is to become an expert of all things. The jack of all trades, master of none does have some relevance to it. So if you're a wholesaler, stay in that lane, but man, don't waste your data. You may find that there are some things in that bankruptcy file that, lo and behold, after we started taking a look at it, may be a high equity position. The trustee may not be selling the property. There could absolutely be a wholesale opportunity for you. If you're looking at short sale properties, we talk about this all the time, man. You might think as the investor, because you've got your business scaled, all right, I'll make a couple $1,000 on this. Asset Res will show me how to earn a buyer's premium on this deal. Lo and behold, as we're digging through, we find out there's a surplus of HOA or a mortgage got wiped out in the process. And although you weren't looking for that, it ended up hitting you. And because that's your wheelhouse, boom, that property comes right back to you. So you get the best of both worlds. You can outsource the underwriting, you can outsource the deal flow to a group like Asset Res. We will help you monetize either a little bit, somewhat, or your home runs that you're looking for. So guys, don't always worry about hitting the grand slam out of the park. There are many opportunities with anything, whether it's reverse mortgages, probate, bankruptcy, short sale, multiple liens. There are always opportunities to monetize on these things. And the investors who truly scale understand how to do that. We always liken it to a factory. You've got your conveyor belt, and one belt goes off this way, one goes off this way, the other goes further down and comes down here, because each one goes into a different bucket. And that's really why we're here, is to help you figure that out quickly. Or if it is a dead deal, figure that out even more quickly. Back to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
and that right there is, a big piece that people don't understand. Like, okay, you can quickly find out if you're wasting time on a specific type of lead or property, right? Rather quickly if you have the pros do it, right? Now, underwriting is one of the biggest parts of lead management and marketing. A lot of people are spending tons of money. I was one of them. I used to be a wholesaler and I used to spend tens of thousands of dollars every single month on pieces of data. It would be PPC, PPL, pay per lead, door knocking, mailers, Facebook ads, Google ads, cold calling, text messaging. Crazy the amount of leads that we would get in. Now, I was always from the school of like, man, I do want to learn like how I can extract whatever I can out of every lead. But I know most operations don't do that at all. Their underwriting process is literally blindfold, where they're just looking at Does it have equity? Can we close in 30 days? Does it have equity? Can we close in 30 days? And they're wasting so much money on good opportunities that are laying inside of their system right now, inside of that marketing machine that they built. Not only that, they're also missing out on opportunities to cover those costs, right? Because, for example, an investor sees a pre-foreclosure with equity. They're like, all right, it has equity. This person's distressed because they're in pre-foreclosure. They can't pay the mortgage. This is a slam dunk. They has equity. But they don't realize, because they don't know how to do proper underwriting, that the homeowner filed a Chapter 13 bankruptcy last week. Well, guess what? Changes everything. Changes the timeline, changes the foreclosure process. It changes the negotiation strategy, the documentation, the exit strategy changes. This happens consistently. We see it every single day. Now, it's not that it's a bad deal. It's just that if you knew what you were looking for or how to underwrite it, you'll know I can spend this amount of time and this is going to be my exit strategy. Or you can say, hey, I don't know how to underwrite this thing. I don't think that as soon as I see a bankruptcy 13, I'm going to shove it down, the end of the pipeline. I'm going to create it as a dead lead. And you just gave up tens of thousands of dollars because you didn't understand that part of the distressed asset, right? So the problem isn't necessarily the lead itself. The problem is more so the investor not fully understanding the underwriting process and how to monetize those leads that they are handsomely paying for, right? So Steve, give us some examples of some hidden opportunities that we here at ARA see all the time.
I, yeah, no, I want to add to something you just said that I think is important and why we talk about a paradigm shift, right? One of the key components talking to real estate investors is they have a lot of analytics around their deals, right? You said it. How quickly can I close and get this some, marketing and to deal to close and this and that. And they look at these analytics that are very tight. And that's what works for their business currently. They try to apply that same analytic to this business and it blows up. I don't want to do this. I can't, just takes too long, too much work, this, that, and whatnot, right? I've heard it for years, 25 years about this part of the business. This is different. This is a different business. It is not looked, you don't analyze it. You don't do your analytics based on just solely how quickly can I close? How quickly can I get this in and close, right? Because you're not doing the same amount of work. You're not putting in the same amount of effort. It's not costing you as much time. There are all these different, there are different ways, different paradigms, different shift of how this business works, how this distressed business works. It is supposed to be complementary to what you're doing. That's why you work with a company like Asset Resolution, is that you don't spend your time, you don't waste your time, but you're putting it into your volume of business, right? We look at it and say, this is a volume-based business. This distressed asset is a volume-based business. Yes, needs to close, and yes, you need to know how to do it. But that's one of the things we do. We help you say, yes, this is a bad deal. It's going to take too long and too hard to close. Don't do it. Or, hey, here's a really good one. It's going to take a standard time, 3 months, 2 months, 4 months, whatever that number is to close, but it's going to close. And I think that's one of the key paradigm shifts of it doesn't have the same analytics that you're used to, but that's not what we're looking at. What we're looking at is, do I have a deal that I'm making zero on? Is it possible to be closed? And can I make money off of it that, again, I'm making zero on? That's the shift. How do I go from zero to thousands without having to do a bunch of work? And that's what we talk to. So let's talk about some of those hidden opportunities.
Yep.
Because we see it, right? And this is what happens, exactly the shift, right? We see deals get discarded because investors say, oh, no equity, just a short sale. I can't make any money off it. I'm done. I'm finished. Well, yeah, that's true. However, we have some caveats to that, right? Number one, you can make some money. There are a variety of ways to make money just off a flat short sale, one of which being buyer premium, which Patrick talked about. The other thing, which is really, really important, is that in distressed assets, especially with short sales, things pop up. Strange things pop up that all of a sudden you can monetize off that you just didn't know of, right? So sometimes, like we went through a short sale, we were going through it and found, oh, look at these. There are HOA, there's potential for HOA claims that somebody can get. Bankruptcy, there's sometimes bankruptcy claims you can get. One thing that popped up recently, one of our deals, I don't know what happened. Something happened. There was a defect in the mortgage, and the first lien, there's still a second lien, but the first lien, it's being wiped out. It was a $1.3 million loan that had a title defect that is no longer attached to the property. So all of these little things come up, but you cannot get to them if you're not working them. If you're just taking these no equity deals, short sale deals, and you're just tossing them, a distressed asset deal, and you're just tossing them, you will not find these opportunities ever, because there's not an avatar that says, hey, this one has this. It is just working the deal. And I think that's one of the things that's pretty interesting. What else do we like? We saw one just recently, like probate property gets skipped, too many heirs. I don't want to do this, too many people to wrangle. But we got to the right person, highly motivated, boom, got a deal done. Reverse mortgages. People like reverse mortgage say, oh, we can't do this. There's so many misconceptions about reverse mortgages and how they work. I see too many people. The one thing I see more often than not real estate investors, they get a reverse mortgage that they're looking at the foreclosure documents. The foreclosure documents do not give you the correct information of what is owed. They think they've got a banger of a deal with a lot of equity, and then find out, boom, no equity. And they just walk away. And then we turn around and I've looked at it with some people and say, well, here, if you do this, 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 and this, you can now turn it into money. So yes, you spent a lot of time on it. Yes, you're not going to get the equity you thought you're going to get on it, but here's an opportunity that you can now turn around and at least make something out of versus zero. We had another one that we're working with a real estate investor. He came across a deal. It's got multiple heirs, potential probate. Looks like there might be a foreclosure coming on. Said, hey, somebody told me to talk to you guys. It's distress. What do you know? Well, we started digging into it. Lo and behold, we know the note owner. We know who owns the note on this property. Contacted him. He said, let's make a deal. Let's go, guys. So all of these little things, this guy would have, he typically didn't do distressed deals, didn't know where to start, but he took a flyer on it, said, let's go, let me figure this out, made a few calls, got our name, and lo and behold, we're now starting to work down a deal for him that could turn into, I don't know, a couple $100,000 difference just because of who he knew and who he knew how to talk to. Those are all the deals that are going on. But like I said, it's like playing the lottery. You can't win unless you're playing. And some of these deals are going to turn into lottery. Sometimes you're just going $5. Sometimes you're going to win $10. Sometimes you're barely going to make the money back. But you're going to, at some point, you're going to hit the bigger numbers. And that's what this is similar to.
Yeah. In fact, I'll add to that is because I'm a proponent of the lottery, right? And you said it, if you don't play, you can't win. The odds of actually winning the lottery are astronomically far against you. They are so far against you. And as anybody that plays the lottery, you know that you spend your few bucks on it, whether you choose your numbers through, birthdays, family anniversaries, very important numerological things, or you just get the quick pick. You spend the same amount of money either way. But interestingly enough, if any of you play the lottery and you get the free ticket as the win, how excited are you? Even when you go to cash in your free ticket, the machine goes doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle. It makes the same wonderful winning noise. But it's a free ticket that you're going to spend on something else. But then every now and then you get your $2, your $4, your $25 wins, and those you feel fantastic about because you say to yourself, I just paid for my tickets for the next couple of weeks. Well, folks, that's exactly what we're talking about here. With the data that you've got, if you analyze, in fact, I would give you all this challenge. Analyze the data that you have purchased in the last year, how much revenue it produced for you, and then think about maybe you only got one out of 25 that became revenue for you. Well, what if one out of five became revenue for you? Whether it was $1,000, $4,000, $10,000, when you add those up every single month over the course of time, those are big dollars. Even if you didn't get your banger wheelhouse deal, you might still have covered all of your expenses and made a little bit of profit. We can help you figure those numbers out too. Our VIP members, we coach them on this stuff and help to analyze and forecast exactly where they think this might come from. What are the most common free ticket wins that you get? Well, today in 2026, we're seeing short sales coming out of the woodwork. And as an investor, if it's not what you're looking to do, you can still make a couple $1,000s, even as low as $500 on these deals. But again, it's consistent over and over again. Equally important, Steve, you said something earlier that is a showstopper. And that is there was a deal. You never would have known this was happening. You got the deal, you work the deal, you find out that the note owner is somebody that you knew. Now, I think what I heard was you found out who the note owner was, yes, but the fact that you guys knew this guy for 20 some odd years, you could pick up the friggin' phone and call him directly. And guess what? That one contact, that one free ticket now turns into, hey, what do you guys do? Well, this is what we do, and this is how, oh, crap, I've got a whole bunch of this stuff. And I think you mentioned the guy's got a bunch of non-performing notes that he's hemming and hawing about what to do with. Well, folks, if you throw that lead in the garbage can, unless you go out and talk to the garbage pickup guy on your local garbage day, you're not going to make any contacts. This business is about contacts. And lastly, the other thing, folks, and I don't know, a half a dozen of these conversations in the last week, investors that turn us on to somebody who says, look, I don't think there's anything in this for me. They found out there was a few bucks, but the homeowner was like, that's the greatest guy in the world over there. That guy that introduced you to it, he's helping me out. And folks, in any part of real estate, whether you're an agent, investor, referrals are tremendous opportunities. And I hate to say it, but sometimes when somebody's going through a really hard financial time, they don't always keep it to themselves. They share that with their family. And when somebody provides a solution for them, they'll tell everybody, and that can spawn additional business. So don't just poo-poo that. Putting these things through the life cycle, watering the seed, you never know what's going to grow out of it. So we can't just stress that enough. It's super important.
Yeah.
Juan, back to you.
No, and I totally agree. Look, when I started in this business over 11 years ago, when I learned that the key to the distress asset world was more about solving problems and putting the homeowner first, that's when everything clicked for me. So for me, it could have been two things. Number one, I'm just compassionate towards people. I care about people. Number two, yeah, I do care about making money as an investor, 100%, but I always want to create the win-win solution. Okay. So I come from a place, as like I mentioned earlier, where if I'm spending money on marketing, okay, and people are raising their hand and says, hey, I have this problem. My job is not to say, well, you don't have enough equity, so I can't help you. You're not in my wheelhouse. My job is to say, well, this may not be the right fit for me, but I'm going to figure out who can help you with this or how we could potentially help you with this. Okay. So if you think about it that way, and you go from that perspective, imagine having that point of view. You're still spending the marketing. I deal with a bunch of different wholesaling companies, investment companies around the country. Their number one solution to try to make more profit is to either hit somebody over the head with a very, very massive discounted price, right? In order for them to increase their margin, or they pay for more marketing in hopes that they find more deals that are easy slam dunk deals. But what if I told you that it's in your current marketing? You pay for the data, you pay for the advertising, you pay for skip tracing, you pay for your staffing, which is extremely expensive. There's commissions, there's salaries, it's expensive. What if you can fund your expansion? What if you can find those singles, those doubles, and those triples because you're following the process of understanding underwriting. And if you're not going to do it, having a team that can decipher those deals for you so they can say, hey, we actually discovered a double, a triple, a home run here. Or, hey, this is not going to be a good fit. There's maybe a couple $100, but those couple $100 pay for the marketing. And you do that over and over. Now you can afford to scale. Now you can take swings at bigger opportunities. This is what happens when you're able to not only just say, hey, if it's not a big swing, if it's not a big deal, I'm going to go ahead and throw this lead in the garbage, guys. The real competitive advantage in 2026 isn't the biggest player in advertising. It really isn't. It really isn't, especially with the market that we're dealing with right now, right? Because it's very easy to make money in an appreciating market, completely opposite in a declining market when the stress has skyrocketed year after year. Okay. The advantage here is, and what you have to ask yourself is, who can monetize the most out of this data? Ask yourself, if I look at a lead, can I recognize a short sale opportunity? Can I recognize what a bankruptcy opportunity is? Can I recognize what a probate opportunity is? Or what a creative finance option is? A novation deal? Loan assumptions? Reverse mortgage? Title curative? Most of you guys lose your mind when it comes to title curative. You're like, oh no, the title company said it's a dead deal. Send it to asset resolution advisors, and all of a sudden, and I'm not saying that in all cases, but in one example, in multiple examples, poof, a mortgage
We've
disappeared.
we've
I don't
actually
know.
got I just got a deal from a real estate investor. He heard one of our webinars and he followed up and watched it and watched it. I mean, he told me this yesterday and he watched it several times and then he turned back around and he came across a deal that's a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. The there's a probate, an heir, and an adverse possession that the title company said, nope, can't do it, impossible, walk away, you'll never do it. We took a look at it and I said, let me talk to the trustee. We might be able to do this.
Yep.
And he was, he learned the lessons. And he told me, he goes, I don't really know what I'm looking at, but I knew enough to put everything together to call you. And we had a good discussion the other day, and he was on the right track. He was 100% on the right track, and here you go. And this is it's one of those deals where, I don't know where it's going to end up. It's a $250,000 property, no mortgages, no mortgages. So now it's just a matter of working through. There's some liens and this and that. I don't know where it's going to end up, but could be $100,000 deal for him.
Well,
Especially if the trustee
I'll
decides,
end my,
oh,
sorry,
sorry.
I'll end my session with, sometimes, guys, it's not about what you know, but who you know
Yep.
that solves these issues. Patrick, what were you going to
No,
say?
I was going to say, and depending on the outcome, whether the trustee decides they want to work with that property, which my experience, they're going to run for the hills. They're
Yeah.
like the people that we're talking to on this webinar. They're like, oh no, there's too much hair on this. I don't want to do anything with it. And they abandon the asset and off it goes. So, there's that opportunity that now that equity filled property with just a few issues that can be resolved is prime for the taking that nobody knows about. You're the only one. That's your deal for the taking. Or if the trustee does decide to sell it, there's still money to be made there, guys, and
Yeah.
that's
Absolutely.
that's the beauty of this whole thing.
All right, guys, any last words before we close up here?
No, man. The money is in the difficult opportunities. Don't walk away with them. That's where the margins are. That's where they exist. And ARA is here to support you in that side of the business, right? In that niche, so that you're not doing it yourself, and we can go ahead and help you capitalize and scale your business, guys.
Amen.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up here. If there's one takeaway from today's episode, this is what you all should learn, is you may already have more opportunities than you realize in your data. And the key to it is learning how to fully monetize the data that you already possess, change your paradigm, understand what the analytics are around these, and you will see how your business can grow. Because when your marketing produces multiple possible outcomes, your business all of a sudden becomes dramatically more efficient and more scalable because you're going to find more deals in all of these other deals that today you're throwing away. So join us inside Asset Resolution Advisors community where we break down real deals, real underwriting, and real execution strategies every week. And because at the end of the day, the best investors are not always the ones with the most leads. They're the ones who understand the most ways to monetize the leads they already have. So thank you all for joining. We appreciate it. Click the likes, come join our school community. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Y'all come back now here.